Woke and cancel culture has gone so far into the public mainstream that teachers are now being urged to rewrite history. Let's talk about it. Hi guys, I'm JNewtz. Welcome back to the channel. Before I get started, do me a favour, do yourself a favour, click subscribe and ring that grey notification bell so that you know every single time that I make videos. Now, let's get into this. A trend that we have seen for many years now are people who are offended by history, people who want to erase or rewrite history. We've seen this in books being banned, we've also seen this in monuments and statues being demolished, pushed over, or desecrated. And now it's going a step further. Because an administrator in a school in Texas, it's always in Texas.
Yo, in Texas, if you don't like something, you just change it or get rid of it and pretend it never happened.
I digress. This administrator has told her staff that if they have a book teaching about the Holocaust, then they need to have a book with an opposing perspective. Oh yes, we have gone to that level. And if you don't quite understand what I'm saying, let me demonstrate it to you. Hey y'all, so you know how 6 million Jews died back in 1940 something? Well, if people get offended by that, you can teach them it never happened. Make sure you also have a book with an opposing perspective? Does that basically mean that you are saying you can choose your own adventure? Maybe the Holocaust did, maybe it didn't happen. It just depends on how you choose to read. Oh, get to page 96 and suddenly you can choose. Did A, the Jews go to the concentration camp, or B, did they go off and make shortbread for the Dutch? Of course, it's A. They went to the concentration camps. 6 million Jews in World War II were murdered by the Nazis. That's a fucking fact. It's well documented in writing, in photographs, and on film. There's been documentaries, there's been films, there are books all about it. You cannot deny the Holocaust. Although there are some fucking idiots for decades who have always denied that it never happened. But you can't have a book on the opposing perspective, because what you are basically saying is, if you are offended by history, you can change it. You can choose not to believe history. And to this administrator and anybody of her ilk who thinks the same way, I have a simple message for you. Don't be a fucktard. I know that's probably a little bit late for me to say, because in this particular instance, she is a fucktard already. But if you or somebody that you know doesn't like history, don't reject it. It's not there to be rejected. If it offends you, if it upsets you, fantastic. Learn from it. There is a reason for that well-known quote that says, "A country who forgets its history is condemned to repeat it." And sadly, in 2021, we are, of course, seeing a repetition of history. You can choose to take that whichever way you want to. Naturally, this administrator has received quite a backlash, especially on social media, such as Twitter, where the feeds went crazy with people basically saying, "This is fucking ridiculous. How can you deny this happened? How do you possibly push an opposing perspective?" And this is the problem with woke culture, with cancel culture, and with a group of people these days of any age who have become the entitled people of society, the "oh, I'm offended by everything" people of society. If you're offended, fucking great. Accept it, learn from it, don't make the same mistakes. If you've got children, whether they be a few years old or whether they're teenagers or older than that, don't deny them the education of actual history. World War II actually happened. 6 million Jews actually died. There have been loads of atrocities and disasters around the world, and just because you don't like it, just because it might offend you, or you think it might offend somebody else, that does not give you the right to deny that they happened. It doesn't give you the right not to teach them, because ultimately, as I said in that famous quote, a society that chooses to forget its history is condemned to repeat it. So if you are in a position of knowledge, learning, if you are a teacher, a lecturer, if you're doing anything to impart knowledge, even if you are a parent and you are teaching your children the basics of life, don't deny them history. And if you do work for an educational department around the world, especially in Texas it seems, because they're all fucking mental over there, then oppose people's suggestions like this. If you're at a staff room and someone says, "I believe that you should have an opposing opinion of this," turn around and say, "You're a fucking moron, that's a stupid idea." But do me a favour now, comment below, I want to hear your thoughts. Should schools be teaching an opposing perspective of the Holocaust and basically denying that it ever happened and no, Hitler was actually a very good person, he did nothing wrong? Or do you agree that we should be teaching people what actually happened? You know what to do, leave me a comment right down below. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and don't forget, don't be a fucktard. No, I swear to you, the Holocaust never happened. What we did is we rounded up 6 million of the most artistic people in the Jewish community and we put them in the entertainment industry in America. Honestly, that is what we did.